Okay, that was a little piece of banjo tune called Cripple Creek, which was prominently used in a certain feature of a show called Hee Haw, which aired its first episode 50 years ago this coming June. And we've never had a Hee Haw based season before that I know of, so I thought it would be a good one because there would be lots of people to choose from to cover. And in case you weren't familiar with Hee Haw, it was a country music show, but between the musical numbers they would do these comedy skits and tell corny homespun jokes. And Pickin' and Grinnin' was one of these things where Roy Clark and Buck Owens would play bits of Cripple Creek and stop every now and then to tell each other bad jokes. That's where I got the name of it from. There were other comedy bits such as You Were Gone and Gloom, Despair, and Agony on Me. These each had their own music that went with them. The lyrics were different every time, except they would always have a particular refrain that was sung the same every time, more or less. And you can see examples of these. Just look them up on YouTube, and there you can find examples. You can also find some full episodes if you want to watch any full episodes. Let's see, another thing is they would pop up between the rows of a cornfield and tell each other bad jokes with banjo music in the background. And in the early years, the Scarecrow would make commentary on how bad the jokes were. Another feature of the show was the Hee Haw Gospel Quartet, where they would have a male quartet sing an old gospel song. And I think usually the only instrumental accompaniment they would have would be Roy Clark playing the guitar while he was also singing. This show was on for a long, long time, 30 years or something like that. I don't know. And so there was a lot of people who appeared on it. There were major stars like Loretta Lynn, Conway Twitty, Waylon Jennings, Tom T. Hall, Ray Charles. You get the idea. There were also people you probably never heard of, and I think a good example of that would be a guy named Eddie Fukano, who was the first Japanese man to ever have any major country hits in the United States, and he could really, really yodel. Also, many of the Hee Haw regulars were recording artists. Obviously, Roy Clark and Buck Owens, but there were also like Grandpa Jones, Lulu Roman, whose singing never really appealed to me, but she recorded a lot of stuff. Another woman named Ganilla Hutton, who was a regular, who recorded some stuff. There was a man named Archie Campbell, who mostly only did comedy bits on the show. But I got a new tripod. I'm trying it out. But he had a good singing voice, and he recorded some stuff and performed songs on the show, mostly in the early years. And then there was String Bean. He was the guy who played the Scarecrow. And he came to a tragic end. That was not his fault. But he was a really, really excellent clawhammer banjo player. And I recommend just looking him up on YouTube and watching him perform, because he's amazing. He was one of Grandpa Jones' best friends, and they lived real close to each other. So, you can do any song by any guest who ever appeared on Hee Haw, or you can do any song done by any of the Hee Haw regulars. You can also do any of the comedy bits that have music if you want to, like the ones I've mentioned. If you want to write an original song, everything that was on Hee Haw was pretty much country or gospel or bluegrass. So you can write a country or a gospel or a bluegrass song of the kind that may have been used on Hee Haw. You can also, if you would like to, I think this would be funny, and I got interrupted again. Where was I at? Oh yeah, the skits. You could write your own lyrics to one of their skits. I think that would be pretty funny if you want to do that. One song per day, please. But the comedy bits are very short, so if you want to do any of those, they don't count against the limit. You can do as many of those as you want. I know it's going to be easy to go for the major stars who you've heard their music and you're familiar with, but don't be afraid to look into the more obscure ones that you may never have heard of. Like I mentioned Eddie Fucano. There was a woman named Ruby Davis who I also saw. I don't remember her. She was pretty obscure. There was one guy that I always enjoyed seeing. He was on there more than once. Named Big Al Downing. Should check him out. He was he had the gimmick that Charlie Pride had. He was an African American country star. He wore Western clothes and a great big hat, and he played the piano. And he infused certain, you could say, soul elements into his country music. He was really remarkable. I think that's about it. I'm looking forward to what everyone brings, and I'll be listening for you.